I gave my trades a second shot today, and that was very important on being able to cover some of the losses that I had on the earlier trade. So we'll talk about that as well as some of the setups here on Market Open Trading. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? It's Miguel here with Market Open Trading. Now, let's talk about some of the trades I took this morning. Ended up the morning up 285. Also, Etsy. Etsy was a complete monster. Every day is Halloween. That thing just took off today. I called it out on the Facebook group. So let's just look at it real quick. This thing barely pulled back at all. This thing just took off. Now, let's go through some of the trades this morning. First trade I took this morning was on PVTL, which was a continuation play from yesterday. Unfortunately, this thing was a little spready early on in the morning, and it did not do too hot. Let's see here. So PVTL, I believe I actually ended up trading it. Let's see here. PVTL 3 times? Yeah, I think I ended up flat on the first two. So so first trade on PVTL was at 932. So you'll notice here, PVTL 2097, and this is when it was a little spready. So this is kind of a opening range breakout. The second candle here broke over the highs, 2990, but to me this was still valid. It pulled back to about halfway through, which gave me a stop of 2970. And it broke here over the whole number. So I wouldn't have taken it if there wasn't a whole number there. So this is just such a shame. So look at this, guys. I got in at 29.97, and anticipating the break of 30. So I saw 30 flashing, and I went ahead and got in. I got in at 29.97 right here at 9:32, time stamped. This thing went 1-to-1 here right away. I needed it to hit 30.60, and look at this candle. What's the high of this? It says 30.59. I was 1 cent away from my target. It ended up coming back and kicking me out. It kicked me out at 20.99. Oh, that is frustrating. That is so frustrating. I was up almost $200, and I missed it by 1 penny just because this thing, I don't know, just wanted to mess with me, I guess. It's just, as long as, I knew that it was okay because I already had my stop loss at break even. It hit 1-to-1. Yes, it is frustrating, but guess what? It could have been a lot more frustrating if I actually would have lost money on it. I think I ended up making like $6 on it or something like that, which is whatever. It's enough to cover commissions, but the principle behind it is that I missed it by 1 cent. 1 cent. You have to be disciplined enough to stay with your rules. I knew that when it flashed up there, I said, okay, it's going to be difficult for it to break over 30.50. It broke immediately, and it hit 30.59. That is just complete crap. Now, second trade I took was on BITA. So BITA. What was it? Right at 938. Alright, so right at 938. To me, this is a failed short. So here, BITA, it went up, pulled down immediately, but that doesn't really quite give me a setup. That's not a failed short. That's not a pullback short. That's not a VWAP rejection short. So what I was looking for is for BITA to go up and fail and crack below VWAP. So the point for me in this stock was when it sat here and bounced. So it went up, it bounced here, tried to come back up, and it couldn't break the high. Short here at the low of this. The low is 25.10. I got short here. I got covered at 20, or what's it called? I got filled at 25.03 with my stop up here at 25.06. So now I was risking about $110 or so, and you'll see here that it just tanked immediately. So it worked out perfectly. BITA was gapping down this morning. Not a lot, but it was gapping down this morning. and I was looking for that failed short. So here, it gave me that opportunity where it cracks below the 9, it's below VWAP, and my stop is high a day. So we're looking at about 57 cents of risk, and I was able to cover down here at 23.93 just a couple minutes later, so like 3 minutes later. And you'll notice here that I ended up making 220 on that, so I covered my 2 to 1, and I got out of it immediately. As soon as it hit 1 to 1, I put my stop loss at break even, just like I did on PVTL. Now, so we got PVTL, BIDA, and then next trade on PVTL. Again, this thing, I swear. See here, what time did I take it? Took it at 9:42. 9:42. So this was the opening range breakout. So perfect. It looks like a perfect ORB. It's a continuation play from yesterday. These typically do work 60 to 70% of the time. They will end up working. Now, what's important with PVTL yesterday? It got news. It had earnings. Came out with excellent earnings. This thing took off. I traded it yesterday pretty well. And you'll notice here that the high on it, I drew it out, was somewhere around 28.73. Next day, we're gapping up above that, and we're looking for a continuation of the move. So now we're looking already, I did not succeed in the 1 minute ORB over the whole number of 30. That one didn't work out, got kicked out, break even. Now I'm looking for it to break here over the highs on 30.60. So you'll see here I got filled right at 30.60, 150 shares. My stop was going to be down here at 29.84. 150 shares means that my stop is 60 cents away. So I'm risking about $100. It hit my 1 to 1, and as you can see here, I ended up getting kicked out again. PVTL right at 30.55. So lost a couple of dollars on that. I think it was down like $1.50. Not a big deal. So that's twice now that I've gotten kicked out break even. Now, if you'll notice here as well, this little pullback. We notice this little pullback here to the moving average and to VWAP. And these two doji candles, meaning that it's indecisive. Buyers are starting to come into it. And now this last little dip held. It threw up another doji, but it did not make it did not surpass the previous candle's highs, which typically would be my entry on a bull flag like this. So if you'll notice here, this is textbook fake out breakout sort of deal. So right here, it was the high on it was 30.53, low was 30.35. So I went ahead and got long 500 shares, I believe. Yep, so 500 shares got filled here at 30.56. It hit 30.56 and it immediately got rejected. So it broke up and it immediately broke down. So I got kicked out in the same candle here. So you'll notice here I got kicked out right at 30.21. So I ended up taking a $176 loss on that. It was literally so fast that as soon as I clicked it, it started coming down, and it was right at my what was it? It was basically right at my stop. And when I switched over to market, when I went to market out, it was already down at 30.21. So most of the times that typically doesn't really happen, but this time unfortunately it did, and I ended up losing more than my initial thought was, or however much I was willing to lose. So I ended up losing 1.7 times my risk. So very unfortunate, but that typically doesn't really happen. It's just something that you have to deal with every single day. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes the market likes you, sometimes the market doesn't. So. All right, let's see here. This trade on Etsy. With my strategy, Etsy was a just complete hit out of the park. The daily was great. It gave us one pullback. I had one opportunity to try to get into this, and I took it. You'll notice here that it gapped up. Let me show you guys the daily here. I keep talking about it, but 6 month. Okay, look at Etsy, guys. Etsy is gapping up way above any sort of resistance. Remember, the trend is your friend. So if you're gapping up above any resistance, there's nowhere that can, there's no above resistance. There's really nothing that can push you down. So there's going to be a lot of buyers coming into it, a lot of day traders, a lot of investors. And that's definitely something that you want to take a note of. If it's gapping up above any sort of resistance, it's definitely something you want to have on your watch list. Let's see here. Etsy has a star next to my watch list that I wrote down this morning. And There were no previous entries on the 1 minute chart. Let me see here. Here. So there were no entries for me here on Etsy on the 1 minute chart. This is kind of a sketchy candle. Pulls back, and right around 9:45 I start switching over to the 5 minutes. So you'll notice here they gave me a perfect textbook bull flag. I might have gotten out of it a little early because this thing just took off. So you'll see here I got in 200 shares long. I was risking about 50 cents. I got in long here at right 9:56. So right here at 9:56, there we go. Perfect bull flag. Right as it broke up and over this candle. I got filled at 41.64. Stop was here at the bottom of the same candle, so 41.11, risking about 50 cents. And this thing gave absolutely no pullbacks. It just went straight to 43. I hit my target, put my stop loss at break even for 1-to-1, and then I ended up getting out half at 42.78. I really wanted to get to 43, but it was kind of struggling. I think it was somewhere around the 43 or 42.75, 72.80 mark, and I started basically just taking off some of my position. I didn't know it was going to go this high. Obviously, if I did, I would have kept it for, what is it at? It's at 44. The high is 44.78. So obviously, I would have kept it for a lot longer. This gave me no red candles. I tried piecing out of it, but it didn't really seem like it had a lot of steam left. But boy, was I wrong. This thing just kept on going. So I got out the rest at 42.75. I was up and over 2-to-1. You can't really complain about something like that. So I ended up making 225 on Etsy, so up 220 on Bida, 225 on Etsy. Now, last trades I took. So Michaels was my main candidate here for a short this morning. And the reason why it was my main candidate for a short this morning is because of the daily, where we ended up opening up. So let's see here. So right here on Michael, you'll notice that we're gapping down here. There's a lot of resistance here around the 18 mark. But the thing is that we started up somewhere around here. So 1836, there's a lot of support down here at the 18. But we are below the 200. We're below the 50. Now the 50 is sitting here right at 1903. When I saw Michael gapping down, I drew that line. I said, if we stay below this line, I will be interested in it. But if it goes up and above, or stays too close to the 19 mark, I don't want to touch it. I don't care about it. To me, it'll provide support, and then it'll start ripping back up, and that's not something that you want. Now, I ended up taking 2 trades on Michael here. So right at 1042. So I believe it's probably 1042, sorry. All right, so did I not cover that? Hold on a second. Nope. I don't think I covered my first trade on Michael. So 958. So right here. So Michael, it came down, came back up to VWAP in the 9. I was waiting for it to fail right here at, what's the low of this candle? 1836. You'll see I got filled right here at 1835. And my stop was actually going to be 70. What was it? It was going to be up here actually. 1872. Yeah. So 1872. And as you can see here, it made a lower high, but unfortunately it ended up kicking me out. I thought about having my stop up here, but this was just so far for an $18 stock that I ended up just putting it right here at 1872. Unfortunately, I got kicked out, 400 shares. Ended up losing. I miscalculated it. I think I ended up losing like $160 or something like that, or 130. I don't even remember. It's more than I was willing to lose, regardless. But yeah, it's time stamped right here. Got triggered at 1835. Got kicked out at 1872 on 400 shares. That's way more than I wanted to lose. My risk is typically $100. So I'll risk $100 to make $200. But on this one, unfortunately, bad math. I should have paid attention to Mr. Dow's class back in 4th grade. But I ended up miscalculating that and ended up losing more than I initially wanted to lose. but I still kept it on the watch list. I noticed that the SPY was, at first it was green this morning. At first it was green, and then it just broke down below lows. I said, okay, let's go back to the shorts. Let's see what we got. So you'll notice here that Michael has this little consolidation here. Michael has this consolidation right here. To me, this is just kind of consolidating, going sideways, and if it decides to break down below the lows, then that's a spot where you want to get into it. So now I got back into Michael, 300 shares, 300 shares right here at 1836. So as it broke down below this candle, my guess was that it was going to break down below this candle, which was 1833. So I was anticipating the breakdown. So right here at 1836, I got short with my stop up here at 1876. That's why I got short. Actually, no, my stop was actually at the last low, which was 1866. So risking about 33 cents. And I wanted to go ahead and get short under that. Now you'll see here that it broke down immediately, and it broke down below the low. So I was right and correct in that aspect. Now 1803 was going to be the mark for me to put down my 1-to-1. Now you'll notice here that it starts consolidating sideways here. Let me show it to you guys on the 1 minute. So put it a little bit more into perspective. Right here. Guys, I have this recorded, but I'm probably going to use it for the class. I'm actually putting out a course with my entire strategy, my routine, everything. But we'll talk about that later. It started consolidating here at 1810, 1809. So there was a massive buyer at I believe it was 1810 actually. So it was at 1810, so you'll see it broke down at 1809, and then massive buyer popped up. He was sitting there on the level 2. I think he had like 50 or 60,000 shares that he wanted to buy at 1810, and then the sellers started getting more and more and more impatient, and it took, how long did this take? So let's see here, from 58 to so we're 16 minutes. So you're sitting there consolidating for 15, 16 minutes for these 3 candles, and I said, okay, I'm halfway to my goal, and if this guy goes, I think it's just going to crack and go. So now you'll see here that I actually ended up adding another 300 shares at 1810. There was only 4,000 shares left, and I went ahead and shorted another 300 shares, and I added to it. So you'll see it immediately broke down. It hit, let's see here. I covered at 1796 as it broke down below 18. I really didn't trust that 18 mark. And I covered the other 100 at 1793. You'll see that we are, holy crap, that was a bounce. 1775. So you'll see here that we bounced back at 1775. And but I covered over here. I think I ended up making like 170, 180. Yeah, probably like 180, $190. And I just wasn't confident at that 18 mark. So if it came back up and over, I was going to go ahead and get out because of the pre-market and the daily. We had just so much support there that I wanted to go ahead and get out. I had already added. I had covered my loss. Let me just get the hell out of there. So went ahead and covered the rest of it at 1793, and I was done for the day. That's how I ended up 285 on the morning. Now, let's go back and talk about what I just said. So I recorded the level 2 action live, but I'm actually going to be putting that as a bonus into the course. So I'm actually coming out with a 6-hour course that with mentoring, weekly mentoring, so you guys get access to a private room. Well, you can ask all the single questions that you want. You have lifetime access to it. You guys will get weekly mentoring from me. If you guys have any questions about the course, if you guys want me to add another part, maybe there's something else that you don't understand, maybe you want me to make a new video and explain certain things, you guys will have lifetime access to it, and that will be available probably here within the next week or two. So that is actually where the video is going to go. If you guys are curious about the course, make sure to join us in our Facebook group. I'm actually going to give those guys a discount. They've been supporting me through this whole process. You know, they help me make the commercials. They tell me what they think. what I should put in there, what's most beneficial. So I have a community of about 10,000 different investors, traders, swing traders, and day traders, and all that sort of stuff. And they've been a huge help throughout this whole process. So now I'm going to be able to give them and pay back to them and give them a big discount on the course that's going to be coming out here within the next couple of weeks. I am currently now working on the website. I am not a web developer. I don't know much about HTML, but this is going to be my first sort of gig like this. So you got to bear with me. I'm going to do the best that I can. But to me, I want to be able to provide the best content I can for you guys. I want to be able to talk to you guys one-on-one, see what the questions are, see how I can better the course, see how we can tweak everything to make it better for the whole community. So make sure, if you guys are interested in the course or just joining our community, check the Facebook link down below if you guys are not already part of it. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out for any new upcoming content. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.